Is the world falling apart? Will the United States collapse? These are just some of the questions that I've been getting time and time again here on this channel, but I want to talk about something else that is very similar. Now, I want to talk about what lawmakers are currently fighting for. And as of right now, that is inflation and it's energy. That's what they're fighting over. Which brings me to one of the questions that I was asked just recently, and this question, this will reveal why no matter what, we are all screwed. Seriously, we are all screwed. Now, I was recently asked, why in the world would the United States continue to import oil when we export more than we bring in? Now, this was a great question, and I want to explain why we are all screwed because of the thinking behind these decisions. First, the United States is the largest oil producer in the world. We're the largest oil producer. That's great. But why do we continue to buy oil from other countries? Now, on top of that, we're the largest oil producer in the world, but we are a net exporter, meaning we export more than we import, more than we bring in. That's good, right? That's good news. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the details of this, but you needed to understand that in order to understand why we're all screwed. So let me paint this picture for you really quick. Let's say the United States is we're the only oil producer, right? If the United States relied only on US production, then any changes would be a drastic change. For example, every 4 years, what happens? We get potentially a different president. Every 2 years, what happens? We potentially will see the Senate and the House swing from Republican to Democrat, right? Let's say a hurricane comes through the United States, like Hurricane Ian just did. A hurricane would impact prices. A change in president would influence oil prices, right? The Senate flipping Republican to Democrat would alter prices as well. And who knows? Possibly even the wind blowing one direction versus the other would completely change where the oil price is going as well. And all of this is because all of our eggs are placed in one basket. That's the US's basket. Now, I'm all for becoming energy independent, but the problem is that we will never be able to be energy independent. And I say this because there's too many issues. Let's just say Democrats get their way and we're all driving electric cars in the next 15, 20 years. Where do we get the lithium that we make these batteries out of? Where do we get it? Well, most lithium is pulled out of Chile, but most is processed in China. That's the problem. We're getting it from China. What about chips? Well, chips are mostly, again, from China. They're manufactured in China. Now, the U.S. is obviously making a push to become more competitive here, but again, it's not going to happen overnight. What I am getting at is it doesn't matter what direction we go, whether we go for fossil fuel or we go towards more electric, right? We're always going to be dependent on other countries. This is why we are screwed. It doesn't matter what we do. We are going to feel the impacts here. Let's switch it up for a second. Let's not talk about cars. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about food for a minute. Well, let me just give you an example here. Coffee, okay? Did you know the American people drink more than 400 million cups of coffee per day? Yeah, more than 400 million. I'm not one of those people. I don't really like coffee, okay? And if you do like coffee, go ahead, hit that like button. Let me know. But do you know more than 51% of coffee comes from Brazil and Colombia? Yeah, from those two countries, Brazil and Colombia. What about vegetables? Let's talk about vegetables for a second. The U.S. gets the majority of our fresh vegetables from Mexico and Canada. Now, these are things like tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, avocados, things like that. No big deal. We're very friendly with Mexico and Canada. But what if Mexico has issues? What if Canada has issues? Yeah, we're screwed. We are screwed. Well, the U.S., we could just produce more vegetables, right? Yeah, we could. But that's kind of what California tried to do. How well did that work out? They were rationing water. They were rationing water. Yeah, it's an issue. And again, I bring all this up because over the past few months, Democrats have been arguing and saying that we must move towards electric vehicles because this is going to eliminate all of our problems. The truth is, it's not going to eliminate any or not all of our problems. It's only going to change the problems that we have. That's the issue. That's why we're all screwed. And again, I'm telling you, you're not going to like this. There's not much we can do. We are going to have problems. Okay? I want to be very clear on this. We will have problems. It just depends on how big the problems are. The problem right now is gas prices are going up and down. Well, technically they're just going up. But when they're going down, nobody seemed to care. Everything was great. But that's the reason why this is a problem. That's why everybody's screwed. Because we are going to have these problems. But again, it's in the eye of the beholder. How big is that problem? Is it just a monetary problem? Could we just throw more money at it and put more fuel in our vehicles and we'll be perfectly fine? Yeah. Then that brings up the next question. What if you are a low-income earner? Even a middle-income earner? Can you afford to put more fuel in your vehicle? Some say no, some say yes. But again, that's just part of the problem. And I wanted to bring this up for one main reason. More and more people are looking at things like, okay, what is going on in Russia? What's going on in Ukraine? What's going on in China and Canada and Mexico and Europe? They're looking at all these things like, oh man, glad I didn't live there. Glad I don't live there, right? Big issues. But again, it's in the eye of the beholder. Maybe the issues happening in Russia are not that big if you're Russian living in Russia. Okay? So that's just what I wanted to bring up today. Because I know a lot of people are worried about what's going on, right? Oh, can't vote for this person, can't vote for that person. Honestly, you can vote for whoever you want. But just understand, doesn't matter who you vote for, doesn't matter which side you're on, doesn't matter what you're doing, you're gonna have problems either way, right? So, just want to leave you with that for the rest of this weekend. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Hopefully you guys had an incredible weekend as well. If you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.